The first thing I remember is the smell: salt, fuel, burnt wiring. Then the sound metal screaming as it tore itself apart like the sky didn't want us anymore. I don't remember hitting the water. I remember the silence right before it, that dead pause where your body understands what your brain hasn't caught up to yet. I woke up 8 days later with a tube down my throat and a pressure headache so sharp it felt like someone had driven a nail straight through my skull and left it there on purpose. The lights above me were too white, too clean. Machines breathed for me. Somewhere nearby, a monitor clicked in a slow, steady rhythm. I heard voices before I could open my eyes. A man's voice. Calm. Professional. "She needs immediate cranial surgery. We have a narrow window. 12 hours, maybe less." Then another voice cut in. Younger? Familiar. Flat. "We're not doing that." Silence. "I need the money for a deal that actually matters." That was my brother. Lucas Reed. Same father, different mother, different loyalty. Someone shifted in the room. I felt paper slide against paper, a pen uncapped. The quiet scratch of ink. A woman's voice, tight, rehearsed, almost gentle. She wouldn't want to live like this. That was Elaine, my father's wife, Lucas's mother, and then my father, Martin Collins. He didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He just said if that's the only way forward. The pen scratched again. That sound, that dry final sound, was the moment something inside me cracked for good. If you've ever had family look at you like you're an inconvenience, if you've ever been treated like a line item instead of a person, go ahead and hit like, subscribe. You're going to want to hear how this ends, because I did hear everything, even in the dark, even when they thought I was already gone. My name is Avery Collins. I was 32 years old when my family decided my life cost too much. The doctor said the swelling in my brain was severe. Traumatic injury. Memory loss was likely. Speech issues. Maybe worse. Lucas leaned against the counter like he owned the room. "How bad is it?" he asked, not looking at me. The neurosurgeon didn't sugarcoat it. Survival is possible. Quality of life depends on how fast we act. Lucas snorted. A short sound. Sharp. Possible isn't good enough for that price tag. Elaine pressed a tissue under her eye, careful not to smudge her mascara. She'd already cried today. Probably practiced. "Martin," she said softly, like she was calming a child. "We can't drag this out." My father stared at the floor. His shoulders looked smaller than I remembered. I wanted to scream. I wanted to open my eyes and tell them I was still here, but my body wouldn't listen. And somewhere beneath the pain, beneath the fog, instinct kicked in. Stay still. Let them talk. Let them show you who they are. The doctor tried again. "If we wait, she may lose the window entirely." Lucas didn't hesitate. "Then we wait." That was the moment the room shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, just cold. Paper slid toward my father. Elaine guided his hand. Her fingers closed around his wrist, gentle but firm. "Sign," she whispered. "It's merciful." The pen shook. Then it moved. When it was done, the doctor folded the paper once tight and said nothing. She just walked out. Lucas exhaled through his nose. Satisfied. "Call the trust attorney," he said to his mother. "Tell him we'll need the incapacity process expedited." Elaine was already dialing. My father didn't look at me. That was the second something in me snapped. They moved me out of the ICU that night. Comfort care, they called it. Less noise, fewer interruptions, no urgency. The machine still hummed, but slower now, like they'd already accepted the ending. Lucas came by once more before leaving. He stood at the foot of the bed and looked down at me, eyes unreadable. "You always made things complicated," he said quietly. "Even now." Then he left. Hours later, light bled through the blinds. Morning. I felt it before I could see it, the fog thinning. Pain sharpening, awareness returning in jagged pieces. When my eyes finally opened, the ceiling came into focus, inch by inch. I didn't move. I didn't speak. A nurse gasped when she noticed. "Doctor," she called out. She's awake." Everything changed after that. People rushed in, lights, voices, tests. My father was the first familiar face through the door. His eyes were red, his shirt wrinkled. "Avery," he said, like he was afraid the name might break me. I turned my head slowly, confused, blank. Who? Are you? His face collapsed. Elaine appeared behind him with flowers too white to be real. Oh no, she breathed. She doesn't recognize you. Lucas stayed back, arms crossed, watching, always watching. I let my eyes drift over them, slow and unfocused. I whispered the wrong year, asked why the lights were buzzing, started crying when I couldn't remember my last name. The doctor exchanged a look with the nurse. More tests followed, clipboards, checklists, murmured phrases like severe impairment and executive function. Lucas nodded along like this was all going exactly to plan. That afternoon, my ex-fiancé showed up. Ethan wasn't supposed to be allowed back, but no one had updated the list. He kissed my forehead and told me he was sorry. Then in the hallway, where he thought I couldn't hear, he said to Lucas, "She's gone. Whatever spark she had, it's out." Lucas clapped him on the shoulder. "Yeah," he said. "I know." When they were alone, my father sat beside the bed and held my hand. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have protected you." I squeezed his fingers once, weak, childlike. Then I asked if my mom was coming to get me soon. He broke. Elaine posted a photo that night, black and white, my hand in hers. A caption about strength and prayer. Thousands of likes. The story was already written. All I had to do was let them finish it. Before leaving, Elaine leaned down, brushed my hair back, and said softly, almost kindly, "We did what we had to." And just like that, the lights went out behind her. 3 months before the crash, my brother started calling me Avery again. Not sis, not kid, not sweetheart the way he used to when he wanted something small. Just Avery. That was how I knew it was serious. The first time he brought it up, we were alone in the executive kitchen on the 42nd floor. Midnight. Dishwasher humming. City lights smeared against the windows like oil on glass. He poured himself a drink without asking. "You ever think about how much dead money you're sitting on?" he said. I didn't look up from my laptop. "Every dollar in my trust has a purpose." Lucas laughed softly. "That's what rich people tell themselves so they can sleep." I closed the laptop, slow, deliberate. "What do you want?" He took a sip, set the glass down too hard. "I need liquidity," he said. "Fast." That was the first lie. He didn't need it. He wanted it. He slid a thin folder across the marble island. Not thick, not messy, clean, intentional. Southern expansion, he said. Ports, warehouses, shipping contracts already lined up. I flipped it open. Projections too perfect, margins too smooth, dates that didn't quite line up. How much I asked. 20. I looked at him. Million, he added like I hadn't heard him the first time. I closed the folder. No. His jaw tightened for half a second. Then he smiled. "Don't answer yet," he said. "Just look." I did. He leaned in, lowered his voice. "This is the kind of deal that makes us untouchable. Us." There it was. "You don't need my trust," I said. "You can raise capital the normal way. Normal ways take time, and this doesn't." He stared at me, hard now. "This trust was built on family money." "No," I said. "It was built on my mother's death." Silence. The dishwasher clicked off. Lucas straightened his cuffs. A reset. "Think about it," he said. "You always like to feel important." That was the first time I noticed how easily he turned personal. The second time he brought my father. We were in the boardroom, early morning, coffee untouched. Lucas had printed everything this time. Thick stacks, color tabs, glossy covers. "This is an internal transfer," he explained to the room. "Your trust invests through a family foundation. Tax efficient, clean." Elaine nodded along beside him, hands folded, eyes sympathetic. "This could help so many people," she said. "Jobs, communities." My father stared at the table. "I didn't touch the papers. I want an independent audit," I said. "Full transparency." Lucas sighed. "We don't have time for paranoia." "Then we don't have time for my money." Elaine leaned forward. "Honey," she said softly, "you've always been cautious." That word. Cautious. The way people say difficult when they mean inconvenient. "I'm protecting what my mother left me," I said. Lucas chuckled. "You're hoarding it." That was the moment the room split. Not visibly, not loudly, but I felt it. After that, the pressure changed shape. Emails late at night, calls framed as concern. Elaine showed up at my apartment with baked bread and a tight smile. "Your brother's under so much stress," she said. "Banks can be ruthless." Lucas started copying my father on messages. Just looping Dad in, he'd write, "Family transparency." My father sent one text, "Please don't let this tear us apart." I hired a forensic accountant the next day. 2 days later, she called me back herself. Not her assistant. Her. "There are shell entities," she said. "Several. How many enough?" She sent the preliminary report that night. I stayed up until dawn. Offshore vendors, circular payments, fake service contracts. Money didn't disappear. It moved. Quietly. Intentionally. I confronted Lucas in the parking garage. 2 a.m. concrete echoing. His car idling, matte black lights low. "You forged approvals," I said. He didn't deny it. He leaned against the door and smiled like I'd just complimented him. "End of quarter pressure," he said. "You understand." "No," I said. "I don't." His eyes hardened. "You don't get to play saint and then sabotage the family," he said. "By stealing, by slowing me down." I stepped closer. "I'm reporting this." That's when he dropped his voice. "Careful," he said. "Curiosity has consequences." I watched his taillights disappear. That night, Elaine left 17 voicemails, crying, threatening, begging. "You're destroying everything," she sobbed. "Your father can't handle this." I blocked her. I scheduled a board review. Locked the agenda. Lucas somehow got it postponed. "Emotions are high," my father said on the phone. "Let's breathe." "I'm done breathing," I told him. I emailed the evidence to my lawyer. Then I booked the flight. It was supposed to be routine, a site visit, 1 hour out, 1 hour back. I remember fastening my seatbelt, looking down at the water, thinking stupidly that the worst was behind me. The next thing I remember is metal screaming, then nothing. Back in the hospital after I woke up after they decided my life was too expensive, Lucas leaned over my bed and said, "You always made things complicated." He was wrong. I'd been simple, trust, verify, protect. He was the one who turned it into a war, and he thought he'd already won. They started treating me like glass, not the careful kind, the disposable kind, every movement documented, every sentence interpreted, every silence filled in for me. When I didn't answer a question fast enough, Lucas would tilt his head and say, "See?" When I answered wrong on purpose, Elaine's hand would fly to her chest. Oh, sweetheart. They loved it. The version of me that couldn't fight back. The doctors rotated through like weather. Neurology, psychiatry, rehab specialists with clean shoes and tired eyes. "Do you know where you are?" "What year is it? Can you count backward from 100? I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Is it snowing?" That went straight into the chart. Severe disorientation. I cried when they handed me a pen. Let it slip from my fingers like I'd never held one before. Fine motor deficits. I asked the nurse if my mother was coming to pick me up. Developmental regression. Lucas watched every test like a producer watching dailies. Too much interest, too many questions, always standing just far enough away to look concerned instead of hungry. He brought in his own doctor on day 3. Private, cash only, expensive enough to buy loyalty. The man smiled too much. Asked me to draw a clock. I drew all the numbers on one side and then stared at it like it scared me. When he asked me to subtract by 7s, I made it to 86 and burst into tears. He patted my shoulder. "I'm so sorry," he said. "This must be very frustrating for you." He wrote the word irreversible in bold. That night, Lucas leaned against the wall outside my room and spoke to Elaine in a low voice. "She's done," he said. "We can move." Elaine exhaled. Relief, not grief. "Your father's worried," she said. "He'll come around. They always counted on that." My father visited every afternoon at exactly 4. Same chair, same flowers, grocery store daisies still damp from the cooler. He'd hold my hand and talk about things from when I was little, safe things. Stories where nothing bad happened. "I should have protected you," he whispered once. I squeezed his fingers and asked if Santa knew where I was. He broke. That guilt sat right where Elaine wanted it. The guardianship paperwork came fast. Emergency petition, temporary control, financial and medical authority transferred until further notice. Lucas read the documents aloud like he was doing me a favor. "This is just to keep things stable," he said. "You don't have to worry about anything anymore. That was the line. You don't have to worry anymore." That was the third thing that snapped inside me. I stopped resisting completely after that. I let my mouth hang open when cameras were around, let drool touch my chin. When nurses asked me my name, I said Avery on good days and maybe on bad ones. I became unpredictable, childlike, easy to narrate over. Elaine leaned into it. She brought photographers, soft lighting, candid tears, posted captions about strength and surrender. "Some battles are bigger than us," she wrote. The comments flooded in. Prayers, hearts, sympathy. Lucas started taking calls in the hallway instead of conference rooms. "I heard numbers, deadlines. The banks want confirmation. The transfer clears once the judge signs. We're almost there. He moved me to a private rehab wing on day 6. No other patients. Security at both ends of the hall. For your safety," he told the press. Really, it was to make sure no one else tested me. No one unscripted. That night, when the hallway lights dimmed and the machines settled into their low hum, I moved for the first time without permission. Just my wrist. Just enough. 3 taps on the side of my watch. Long, short, long. The code Noah and I set years ago when Lucas first started circling too close to my finances. 30 seconds later, the watch vibrated once. Message received. I didn't smile. I didn't move. I stared at the ceiling and waited. Noah showed up the next morning wearing scrubs, hospital badge, clipboard, perfect disguise. He stood at the foot of my bed and spoke loudly enough for the nurse to hear. "Pain level today?" he asked. I shrugged, blank. Any discomfort? I nodded. Wrong direction. He leaned in to adjust the blanket and slipped something warm and smooth into my ear, so small I barely felt it. "Everything is recorded," he whispered. "They're walking straight into it." I blinked twice, then started humming a song that didn't exist. Lucas brought in the court investigator that afternoon, a woman with tired eyes and a county badge that had seen too many messes. He greeted her like an old friend. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," he said. "We're just trying to do what's best." He played her clips. Me asking if cartoons were real. Me crying over a plastic spoon. Me calling my father sir. She spent 8 minutes in my room. I offered her an invisible cookie and told her it was my birthday. She nodded, wrote 1 sentence, and left, consistent with profound cognitive impairment. Lucas didn't even try to hide his smile. The hearing was scheduled for the following morning. Permanent guardianship, final control. That night, Elaine hosted a candlelight vigil on the hospital lawn. 200 people. Company shirts, electric candles. She cried on cue. Her voice cracked in all the right places. My father didn't attend. He sat in my room instead, holding my hand, apologizing into my hair. "I'll fix this," he whispered. "I promise." I squeezed his fingers once, then asked if the lights outside were fireworks. Lucas walked in right after. "Tomorrow's the day," he said. "Everything locks." He looked down at me and smiled. Wide. Free. "Almost done," he murmured. That night the earpiece buzzed. Noah's voice was calm. "The judge is leaning yes. Signing is tomorrow afternoon. They're planning a public appearance first." I slowed my breathing, let my eyes flutter. "Stay the course," he said. "They believe every second." I believed it too. They had turned me into exactly what they needed. A broken girl, a silent signature, a face they could put on a stage and sell as survival. They never once considered that I might be acting, that I was listening, that I was waiting. Because the thing about pretending to be powerless is, people stop hiding what they do to you. And Lucas Reed had stopped hiding everything. They dressed me at dawn, not like a patient, like a prop. Elaine stood at the foot of the bed with a garment bag, unzipped silk, catching the light like it had somewhere better to be. "This color photograph's soft," she said to the stylist. "Hopeful." The word landed wrong. Hopeful. She laid the dress across my legs, careful not to wrinkle it. Pale blue, flowing, innocent enough to forgive anything done to it. Lucas watched from the doorway, coffee in hand, already on his phone. "Press is confirmed," he said. "Front row seating. Keep her centered. Her, not me." They curled my hair into loose waves, painted my face until I looked like a miracle instead of a warning, slipped diamond studs into my ears, my mother's. "Elaine's idea. She'd want you to wear these," she said, fastening the backs. My hands shook on cue. "Perfect," the stylist whispered. Lucas crouched in front of me, smiling like a proud brother. "You just sit there," he said softly. "Wave when they clap. You don't have to understand anything." I stared at the dress like I'd never seen fabric before, then clapped once, giggled. Lucas laughed. Actually, laughed. "That's my girl." The ride to the hotel was quiet. Too quiet. Lucas spent it finalizing calls. Escrow releases at 9:05. Yes, she'll be present. No complications. He hung up and glanced at me. "You ready to make history?" I nodded slowly, pointed out the window and asked if the building was real. He smiled. "You're perfect." The ballroom was already full when we arrived. Hundreds of people, investors, bankers, partners in tailored suits and polished boots, cameras on cranes sweeping the room like vultures with good angles. The stage was set with 2 oversized chairs and a long table draped in white. Gold pens lined up in a velvet tray. Lucas positioned my wheelchair front and center. Brand placement. Logo blanket over my knees. Elaine took the seat to my left. My father sat on my right, hands folded so tight his knuckles were white. He wouldn't look at me. Lucas took the stage. The room hushed instantly. "Thank you all for being here today," he began, voice steady, practiced. "This has been an emotional week for my family." He gestured toward me. "And none of this would be possible without the strength of my incredible sister Avery, who's here with us today against all odds." Applause thundered. Cameras zoomed in. I lifted my hand. Slow wave, vacant smile. Lucas beamed. He talked about resilience, legacy, how tragedy had brought the family closer. He thanked his mother, his father, the partners who stood by us. He saved the best for last. As a symbol of that unity, he said, lifting the pen, "We're proud to finalize the largest expansion in our company's history." He turned toward me, arms opening. "Say hi, Ave." That was the moment. I gripped the arms of the wheelchair, pushed, stood. The sound the room made wasn't a gasp. It was worse. It was silence, pure, sharp, total. I took one step, then another, heels steady, back straight. Lucas's smile froze halfway. Elaine's hand flew to her mouth. My father finally looked up. I climbed the steps without help and took the microphone from the stunned moderator. "Good morning," I said. My voice didn't shake. "My name is Avery Collins." You could hear people breathing. "I'm not cognitively impaired," I continued. I never was. The front row shifted. Phones came up. Whispers cracked the air. I nodded once. Noah stood and pressed play. The screens behind me lit up. Lucas's voice filled the ballroom, clear and unmistakable. "We're not paying for the surgery. I need the money for the deal." Elaine on screen, guiding my father's hand. "Sign. It's merciful." The pen scratching paper. Lucas's smile. Small. Satisfied. The video rolled on. Deadlines. Trust language. Once she's declared incapacitated. My father's shoulders collapsed in real time. One of the partners stood up, an older man with weathered hands and a face that didn't do performative outrage. He tore his copy of the contract in half. "We don't do business with people who sell their own blood," he said. The room erupted. Phones rang. Screens lit up. Security moved before Lucas could. He lunged for the laptop. 2 guards caught him mid-step. "Get your hands off me," he shouted. No one listened. I leaned back into the microphone one last time. Lucas, Elaine, Martin. Their names landed heavy. "You chose money over my life." I let the silence stretch. "Today, everyone sees what that choice cost you." I dropped the mic. It hit the stage with a sound that echoed longer than applause ever could. Lucas was shouting my name like a curse as they dragged him away. Elaine was crying for real now. Mascara streaked. No camera angles could save her. My father didn't move. I walked past him without stopping. Behind me, the deal was already dead. Ahead of me, something else waited. Something clean, something honest. For the first time in months, I didn't look back. The fallout didn't wait for the cameras to leave. It never does. By the time I stepped into the side hallway, phones were already vibrating like insects trapped under glass. Lawyers, assistants, board members who hadn't blinked for years, suddenly finding religion. Lucas was arrested in the hotel parking garage at 2:12 p.m. No dramatic chase, no speech, just handcuffs clicking closed while he stared straight ahead, jaw locked, refusing to give anyone the satisfaction of eye contact. Federal agents walked him past the same doors he'd strutted through that morning. Securities fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy. Enough charges to bury a man who'd spent his life burying others. Elaine lost everything by nightfall. Not slowly, not gently. The board invoked the morality clause she'd laughed off during drafting. Her shares were frozen, then stripped. Her accounts locked pending investigation. By 6 p.m., movers were boxing up designer bags in a house she no longer owned. She left wearing oversized sunglasses and borrowed flats, whispering to a driver who wasn't listening. No one filmed that part. My father came to my condo that night. Security called up. He says it's urgent. I watched him on the monitor. Shoulders slumped, a manila envelope clutched like a lifeline. He stood there for 5 minutes, then 10. I told them to send him away. The envelope stayed behind. Photos, apology letters, old keys. I had it shredded without opening it. That was the cleanest cut of all. The press tried for days. Interview requests, exclusive statements, panels dissecting my family like it was a case study instead of a crime. I declined everything. Silence is louder when you don't dilute it. Behind the scenes, the company stabilized. Independent leadership, deals restructured, the expansion scrapped entirely. 48 locations stayed local. 10,000 jobs kept intact because one man didn't get his way. I signed the papers that mattered at 10:05 p.m. A new trust. My mother's name. $20 million locked tight. Emergency medical grants. No collateral. No politics. The first approval went out before midnight. A 19-year-old in Houston. Same surgery. Same odds. He lived. I slept for the first time in weeks after that. Not the restless kind. The kind where your body finally believes it's safe. In the morning, I changed my number. My email, the locks, I packed light. There was nothing left I needed from that life except the lesson. Blood doesn't make family. Choice does. I moved somewhere quiet, near water, no headlines, no history. Some days I still wake up with the echo of machines in my ears, the click of a pen signing me away. I let it pass. Other days I stand on the balcony with coffee cooling in my hands and think about how close I came to disappearing quietly, how easy it would have been for them, how they never once asked what I wanted. That's the thing about people who see you as an obstacle. They never imagine you standing back up. Lucas wrote once from prison. A short letter, no apology, just blame folded into neat sentences. I didn't respond. Elaine tried through intermediaries, through friends of friends. I blocked them all. My father never tried again. That might have been mercy. Or cowardice. It didn't matter. What mattered was this: I survived. Not because they spared me, because they underestimated me. I wasn't saved by love. I was saved by clarity. And clarity is ruthless, the kind that doesn't scream or beg. It waits. Then it ends things cleanly. I still carry the scar beneath my hairline, a thin reminder that some people will always choose money over you if given the chance. I don't hate them for it. I just don't belong to them anymore. And that's not a loss. That's freedom.